on Monday, President Obama will reverse 8 years of Bush administration policy and sign a controversial executive order allowing federal funding of embryonic stem cell research. Our ABC News Washington Post poll in January found nearly 6 in 10 Americans support President Obama's move. Here's ABC's Lisa Stark.
Scientists have been waiting for this from the moment President Obama was sworn in. They say it will mean an explosion of embryonic stem cell research.
We're now going to have the full force of American science behind stem cell biology.
The president's move frees up federal dollars for research with embryonic stem cells, the so-called master cells of the body. Supporters say it may lead to cures for diseases such as diabetes, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's.
It's allowing scientists to use all of the tools available, all of their creativity, to move as quickly as possible towards cures.
This research is highly controversial. To obtain embryonic stem cells, it's necessary to alter or destroy human embryos.
I'm concerned for the short period of time they're going to kill a lot of unborn children as they do this.
Even once the president puts pen to paper, this sea change in policy won't happen overnight. It's expected to take months to draw up the ethical guidelines needed to cover this research.
What does that say?
Still, this reversal of policy on stem cell research couldn't come soon enough for the Ryan family. Tim Ryan and both his children suffer from type 1 diabetes. The family has been pushing for this change, for federal backing.
And to have them be able to be behind the research, I think can really improve the chances of finding a cure, something we desperately hope for in our kids' lifetime.
The Ryans know there are no guarantees, but they say at least now scientists will have a better chance to see if this promising research works. For Good Morning America, Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
President Obama's decision on embryonic stem cells also impacts over 1 million Americans who suffer from Parkinson's disease. And joining us now is journalist David Iverson, who produced the documentary My Father, My Brother, and Me, chronicling his own family's history with Parkinson's. And from the title, you kind of get this, but you have Parkinson's, your brother has Parkinson's, your father passed away from Parkinson's. So how does this decision, in a very real way for you and your family, affect you and everyone with Parkinson's, do you think? How immediate will the change be?
Well, I don't think it will be immediate. While I think many people with Parkinson's and families who have Parkinson's greet this day with a lot of hopefulness and optimism that there will now be increased federal funding for stem cell research, it's probably also important to realize that a cure isn't around the corner. There's a very long path that researchers still must follow, but the path is open now in a way that it has not been in the past, and I think that's something that most people, certainly in the scientific community and in the patient community as well, greet with a lot of hopefulness and optimism.
The Family Research Council last night called this decision, quote, a slap in the face to Americans who believe in the dignity of human life. I know you were raised Catholic, and I know you've sort of struggled with the whole issue. Where do you come down on this? Do you feel like the benefits outweigh the struggles that you've had morally with it?
Well, it is a complex question, and I think it's important that we give respect to all sides of this debate. One of the things that I hope will happen now as we go forward is that we'll be able to consider these sorts of complicated issues in ways that aren't quite so divisive. I was raised Catholic. I still attend the Catholic Church, and it is complex in that way because, in a sense, my church points me in one direction and my body points me in another. In the end, I do come down on the side that while we have to treat these frozen embryos with respect, it's important to realize that there are hundreds of thousands of them that remain frozen, that will probably not be of any use, that will eventually be discarded. And if they can be used for some benefit for people with Parkinson's or many other diseases, as your report noted coming into this segment, then I think you can look at this as actually a pro-life position. There are many people, including someone like Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, who's firmly pro-life, but believes that this is actually the pro-life position to have.
And you talk about your family so much in the documentary. I wonder, have you talked to your mother about the decision? About the Obama administration?
I did. My now 96-year-old mother, who's even more Catholic than I am, and she is supportive of this decision. You know, as a former Jesuit friend of mine said to me once, you know, you shouldn't necessarily confuse the official positions of Rome with what it means to be a person of faith, with what it means to be a Catholic. So I do think you can treat this question with respect, because after all, as the conservative columnist Charles Krauthammer, you know, said, this isn't just a leftover piece of appendix or something. It is something that has a kind of human potential to it with which we have to deserve respect. But again, most of these embryos are going to be discarded. They're not going to be used. And so if they can give us some hopefulness, I think many people of faith and those in the patient community, including my 96-year-old mom who lived through this with my dad, my brother, and me, can all create some hope from that.
David Iverson, thanks so much for being with us and your thoughts.